We are talking about the American Rescue Plan Act funded Small Business Recovery Grant Program that we are so excited to be launching, first of its kind for our city. And I have the pleasure of emceeing with these three extremely qualified panelists today. We have Megan Huber, Economic Development and Communications Manager, Raj Prasad, our Accounting Manager, and Bill Zanoni, our Interim Administrative Services Director. So before we dive in, please use the Q&A button. If you're on mobile, you might have to tap your screen. I took a screenshot of it there. We'll be taking your questions at the end. We want that to be a big part of this webinar so that we can answer all your questions about the guidelines and the application. If you can't stick around for the entire webinar, don't worry. We're going to have a recording up on the city's website and our YouTube channel as soon as possible. And if you have any comments on the program, as I mentioned, this is the first of its kind, so we want to hear from you and your feedback. You can send those comments to arpa@citrusheights.net. And if you head over to the city's website, you can ask us questions about the application. You can watch this recording. You can learn about eligibility. We have so much more information online, but we're hoping that this webinar gets you started and educated. So I'm going to pass it over to Megan Huber, Economic Development and Communications Manager, to talk through the grant program guidelines.
Thanks, Nicole. Hi, everyone. Great to have you here today and excited to share all about this really awesome resource that the city has the privilege of rolling out to our businesses. It was unanimously approved by City Council earlier this year, and we are excited to have it go live. So we have created this ARPA COVID-19 Small Business Recovery Grant Program. The total amount of grant funds available is $320,000. When it launches on February 24th, it will be open for 30 days through March 26th. And as Nicole had mentioned, there's a limited allocation of funds available for this program. The city is rolling out a multi-phase approach utilizing ARPA funding. So if you haven't already, please make sure to sign up for city communications to stay abreast of all of those updates. So let's dive into eligibility for this grant program. This grant program is specifically designed to assist small businesses, and you'll find that the eligibility guidelines really speak to that. So in order to be eligible, a business must have a commercial location located and licensed in Citrus Heights since at least 2019. It's important that a business is operational as of March 1st, 2020, and is still in business with the intention to remain open. I am excited to share that this grant program is open to all industries, available to franchises, affiliate businesses, and the like. And in order to qualify as a small business for this program, a business had to have earned $3 million in annual revenue or less in calendar year 2019. A qualification for eligibility with this program is that a business needs to have experienced a net revenue loss of at least 25% for calendar year 2020 or calendar year 2021 as compared to calendar year 2019. And it cannot receive more in this grant funding than the total revenue loss is calculated. And a business needs to employ 20 full-time equivalent employees or less as of March 1st, 2020. And there are a few more eligibility requirements below that hopefully answer some specific questions that are in the audience. Right now, this program does not qualify to home-based businesses or nonprofits. So for funding allocation levels, those are determined based on those baseline annual gross revenue brackets that a business acquired in the year 2019. There are 3 tiers ranging from $1,000 to $100,000. The grant amount would be $2,000. Next tier is $100,000 to $1 million in annual revenue. That grant amount would be $10,000. And finally, $1 million to $3 million in annual revenue would qualify for a grant in the amount of $15,000. The use of these funds, as stipulated by the American Rescue Plan Act final guidelines, are to aid our small businesses with COVID-19 recovery. And there is a wide variety of applications available to be able to do that. So the grant funds can be used to offset or reimburse the business for operational costs or revenue loss. And that can include general business operations, payroll expenses, supplier payments, rent, lease, mortgage payments, facade improvements to resolve COVID-related blight, outdoor improvements. One of the biggest that we've observed as it relates to outdoor improvements for businesses are restaurants. Restaurants have created outdoor patio spaces in order to increase capacity and provide COVID resiliency in operation. So that's a great example there. Also eligible are PPE costs or related sanitation supplies and equipment, and other costs of compliance with county, state, or federal requirements. And finally, technical assistance, counseling, or other services to assist with business planning. Ineligible uses would be anything not related to COVID recovery or mitigation, or ineligible in those American Rescue Plan Act final guidelines that I referenced. These funds also cannot be used to fund any other business than that which is receiving the grant.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan, for rolling through the program guidelines. There are certainly a bunch of details in this program. So again, you can visit the city's website. Those are live now. Read through the complete information. And a reminder again, if you have questions about the program, please use that Q&A button. We're going to go ahead and roll into a sneak peek of the program application, which will be live again on February 24th, 10 days from now. So I'm going to kick it over to Raj to roll through our application.
Thanks, Nicole. So the application, all the fields in the application online or the ones being submitted over to us at the city are required. And we'll just go over all the fields that are required. The business name that must match the IRS tax returns, and also the city's business license. If you are doing business as name is different than the legal name that matches those documents, please provide that as well. We'll need the name of the business owner or owners and the address of the business. Once again, it's only for commercial businesses. Home-based businesses are not eligible at this time. Telephone number, email address. If there's any questions regarding an application, those will help us to contact you. And then we'll need the federal tax identification number or your social, and then the Citrus Heights business license number. Here the business was established in the city, must be Citrus Heights. And if your business was operational as of March 1, 2020, yes or no. And if the business is still in operation, and if it's your intent to have the business remain open. We will need your gross business revenue for calendar 2019, and then either your revenue from 2020 or 2021. We don't need both of them, just either or. And then the number of full-time employees on March 1, 2020, and then the number of part-time employees, March 1, 2020, and then a brief description of the products or services provided or your business provides in the city of Citrus Heights. And then also a brief description of how your business has been negatively impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. This one, as Megan just covered, spending plan, how you would use the funds from this grant towards your business, a brief description, and then we have some boxes on the bottom to better assist you, and you can check one of those as well. And then the required documentation. So we will need your federal tax return that shows your business name and also the income, the revenue. And then the same goes for the 2020 or 2021. We'll need those as well. And then a copy of your CitrusSite business license. Just to remind everyone, we will need all those documents with the application to be submitted. And the last piece on the bottom is the certification that the information that's in that application is correct information. And then the application can be submitted online, as Nicole just mentioned, will be open on the 24th, or it could be mailed over to the city, attention accounting manager at 6360 Fountain Square Drive, or the application could also be dropped off in person at the City Hall.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Raj, for running through that application. That's a first look at everything we'll be requiring to apply for our grants. Bill, do you want to talk to this group about the application and their privacy? Raj just covered all the documents required for applying, so I feel like it's a perfect segue.
Sure, thank you, Nicole. So while the city is releasing these funds, these grant funds, this is actually federal money that the city is receiving, and we are accountable and responsible for reporting to the United States Treasury. So we understand that as part of the application process, we are requiring tax documents with tax identification numbers or social security numbers that unless it's otherwise for some reason exempted under law, all of our application materials that we receive are considered public records. So the information that we receive is subject to disclosure under the California Public Records Act. So if that information is requested, the type of information that we would redact would be social security numbers, your tax identification number, or any other security related information. So we have to make some of this information available if it's requested, but we will take make every attempt and take every step possible to not provide any secure or private information.
Awesome, thank you, Bill. And last but not least, payment methods. So before we roll into our Q&A, talk us through, once someone's applied, if they are deemed eligible, what will the payment method look like, Bill?
So this is the best part. So once we get the applications, and for those applications that are approved, our intent is to process these fairly quickly, and grant payments will be made by check in the name of the business. We hope to have businesses have the selection process completed and the check in the mail by the end of April.
Awesome, great. So with that information in mind, we would love to field your questions. I do have a couple already that I'll roll into and pitch to our panelists, but if you are watching this live and you've got a question, please drop it into that Q&A and we will take them. First up is what happens next? So we're 10 days out from the application period. Bill, you just talked about final payment, but maybe walk us through what's going to happen in between launch and payment.
So we will launch the program next week. For 30 days, we will the application window will be open. As soon as that closes, we will go through the process of reviewing applications, go through the selection process, and that will occur during the month of April. And we will notify all businesses whether they've been selected for a grant, if they we want to make sure and really stress that since we have a fairly short window to process this, that when you do submit your grant application, before you submit it, double check and make sure that you've provided all the information that we've asked for, so that we have a complete package for you. And we will notify all applicants whether their grant has been approved or not.
Awesome, perfect, thank you. Megan, I feel like this next question might be for you. Someone is asking for clarification around eligible businesses. Basically, can you define home-based business versus commercial business? This person is saying they run their business from their home, but they provide services to customers throughout the city and the area. Is a business disqualified if they don't have a commercial address?
That is correct. Without a commercial business address, if you're operating a business out of your home, that would be a home-based business, which is not eligible for this grant program.
Great, thank you. Next question is, what happens if the program is oversubscribed, which is a fancy way of saying what happens if we get more applications than the money allocated to this? Raj, do you maybe want to take that question?
Sure. So I mean, we have a set amount of funds for this grant program, and what happens is if it's oversubscribed, it's a referral system. So depending on how many applications we get and how businesses are being selected, we will keep selecting businesses until we've expended the entire dollar amount of this program.
Awesome, thank you. Next one, this person says, my business moved to Citrus Heights in 2020, but they weren't here in 2019. Are they eligible? Megan, I'll throw that one to you.
Unfortunately not. A business needs to have operated in Citrus Heights commercial location in that base year of 2019.
Perfect, thanks. And again, those guidelines are on the city's website, and that information is in the application. So as you kind of fill this out, you would see that information's there, but we certainly want to help you prepare now. This person is asking about business licensing. Do applicants for this need a business license from the city? They're saying that their business license is issued by the state. Who wants to take that one? Maybe Raj, Megan?
The guidelines specify an applicable and valid Citrus Heights business license.
All right, great. And then if you have further questions or really specific questions about your business and this application, we do have a big button on the page, and we've got some people helping us out to answer your questions as they specifically relate to the application and your business's eligibility. If you have comments about the program, maybe you want to provide feedback to city staff and city council about the grant program. You know, this is the first of its kind, so we do want to hear that feedback from you. So if you want to make suggestions or make comments, you can submit those to arpa@citrusheights.net via email. This last question I think that we'll take is about the type of business that folks can have for this. What if a business is like a rental property or a home? Megan, is that type of business eligible for this grant program?
Nicole, give me just a second and I'll pull up the verbiage from the guidelines on that one.
Awesome. Let me see if I can actually scroll back to it.
So passive business, I'm thinking this is the most applicable response to the question, but we can certainly take this offline if there are any other variable factors. Passive businesses are not eligible. These include rental properties or any business in which the owner does not actively participate.
Awesome.
And again, if it's a different circumstance, if I'm hearing that question incorrectly, please reach out directly, and we can make sure we're on the same page with that one. We understand there are so many different kinds of businesses in our Citrus Heights business community, and it's really important to city staff as well as city leadership that we qualify each situation individually, because we know it's individual.
Terrific. And the last question that we have, as they keep coming in, this is awesome. What happens if I missed a part on my application and I've submitted it? Raj, do you want to talk through that?
I think Bill actually touched on this one when he was going through his slide. Double check your applications, and if there is something that has been missed or the document was not submitted during the with the original application, it will be considered as an incomplete application and will not move forward.
I think if I can just jump in also, we've tried as much as possible to make this application as streamlined and hopefully simple to complete as possible. So hopefully, if you just take a little bit of extra time and follow step by step, we won't have that situation.
Yes, please be thoughtful with your applications. Terrific. All right. Well, it looks like that's the end of our Q&A for now for our webinar. Megan, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and kick it over to you for just closing thoughts.
Yes, absolutely. We want to thank everyone for who was able to join this webinar live, and also say hello for anyone who might be watching the recorded version. I know that city staff have worked really hard to create a simple and expedited process for you, and we're here to support as you're working through the application process. As we've mentioned here before, this is the first of its kind program for us. City staff is extremely honored and excited at the opportunity to be able to administer this really helpful resource to our businesses. And we want to say thank you to our Citrus Heights City Council and leadership for empowering all of this to happen. As Nicole mentioned, there are direct resources on the website. If you have questions, please reach out prior to application submission so that we can guarantee an accurate and hopefully viable submission. And we wish everyone here the best of luck, and we'll continue to make it through COVID recovery together.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our panelists. Again, this recording will be up on the city's website as soon as possible, but we really appreciate all of you who tuned in live. Bye.
Thank you.